How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another video. I didn't say FPL video because this is for the Euros, and it is going to be a fantastic Euros. Indeed, we have a lot of great teams in it, and I'm going to be looking today at Southgate's 11 and his squad, his 26-man squad, which has been bumped from 23 players because of COVID, and they're gonna have 5 substitutions and that sort of stuff, and it makes it a little bit interesting. You can get some players in there potentially might not necessarily have normally have gone, and they're allowed to basically go on those extra spots. So when we're taking a look at what I think Southgate is gonna pick, how he's gonna line up, how he's gonna try to play, and how I would go with it. I have a couple of different formations I have in mind as well. I have one that's gonna be the same shape as Southgate's most likely, and one that I would go with personally as well. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button. We're going to be doing a lot of off-season content while FPL is on the back burner for the time being. Hit that subscribe button and turn the notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Drop us a follow over on Twitter to keep up to date with everything involving the YouTube channel, Twitch channel, and give us a follow over on Twitch because that's where we'll be doing our live streams. We may do some watch-alongs for the Euros. We may be doing some various different things, you know, when FPL obviously comes back. We'll be doing our streams over there. We may be doing some, you know, FIFA streams for, you know, whether it be a United career mode or something like that. We'll have to see how it goes. Usually FPL comes up back sooner and sooner each year. Maybe it'll only be down for like a couple of months. It'll be down for probably, you know, the rest of May. June for the Euros, and then maybe a little bit of July. It usually comes back a month after or a month before the season is about to start. So we will see. But I have a couple of things lined up, and hopefully we can present them in the best way possible. Without further ado, let's see what I think Southgate's going to go with for his 26-man squad in Euro 2020. So this is going to be a little bit more freeform, a little bit more fun here. So I've drawn up a spreadsheet, which you can see up on the screen here. Up in the top is the 26-man squad that I think Southgate's going to go with. Those are the ones highlighted in yellow. And I've broken them down into positions. Goalkeeper, fullback, or left back, right back, or wing backs in this case as well. Center back, any type of midfielder, whether it be defensive midfielder, central midfielder, attacking midfielder, left wing and left forward, right wing and right forward, and then striker. And the ones in blue are the ones in that category that have missed out. So there are some notable names that miss out, but there are some that, you know, Southgate will favor. I think in goal, I'm, you know, pretty confident that he goes with the likes of Henderson, Pope, and Pickford. I think those are England's 3 best goalkeepers. Yes, Sam Johnson got a call up last time for England, but I think that was just due to the fact that Pope was, you know, injured, I think, or was it Henderson? I can't remember which one, but basically one of the goalkeepers wasn't exactly available, but I think these are the 3 he'll go with. We all know he's going to probably start Pickford in goal as well. For fullbacks, I think he goes with a couple of right backs, couple of left backs, kind of a utility wing back, and then a right back / center back. So basically he's going to go in 3 and 3. And I think the 3 he's actually going to choose for left back is Chilwell, Shaw, and I think he goes with Bukayo Saka as well because he knows he could play wing back, he could play left wing, he could play left back as well, he could play out on the right as well because he is naturally left-footed. And I think that kind of, you know, Southgate gets that little bit of versatility. Will he start game in, game out for England? I don't think so, but it is an option off the bench. For his right backs, I think he favors Reece James, Trippier, and Walker. I don't think Trent makes it in Southgate's, you know, 26-man squad. Based on the players from what I'm seeing, he's going to go with his tried and tested. And I don't think Southgate's going to pick Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's one of the main names that I think could be left out, which is unfortunate because I have him in you know, in my 26-man squad. And if you look at the right backs that are being left out, Wan-Bissaka, who hasn't had a call-up and could play for a different nationality, I believe it's Congo, or Republic of Congo. Cresswell, who's been fantastic as well. I don't think Southgate will pick him either. And then, obviously, Alexander-Arnold, as we mentioned. For center-backs, I think he's actually... Southgate tends to pick quite a lot of center-backs, which is a bit weird with his selections over the, you know, past year or two. And I think he's going to go with Maguire and Stones for sure. Those will probably be 2 of his 3 starting center backs, with maybe Walker as the 3rd, like, auxiliary center back. He'll have Mings and Cody as backup, and then his you know, last couple maybe won't play, but will be there for maybe more leadership qualities, I guess, in the dressing room. Dyer being one of them, and you know, Michael Keane from Everton being the other one. I see no harm in basically taking someone like Godfrey, or someone that might is very young, but also could use the experience of just being there at the tournament. Rio Ferdinand spoke about this on Vibe with Five. If you haven't checked that out, make sure to do so. And he talks about the experience of just being there, being at the tournament, learning from these players, seeing how they adapt in these big competitions for your country. And it is a different thing altogether than club football. In midfield, I think he's going to go with Declan Rice, Jordan Henderson, who looks like he's going to be ready for the Euros. Ward-Prowse is somebody I think he's going to be, favored with. Ward-Prowse is obviously exceptional on set pieces, and England basically used that solely to get to the semi-finals in Russia, where they fell short to Croatia. We also have Calvin Phillips. I think he's going to take him just in case the likes of Jordan Henderson breaks down, and would be a natural kind of ball-playing midfielder that also has good defensive capabilities in there as well. And then Mason Mount is going to probably start game in, game out for Southgate as well. And I think he should. I think he's definitely progressed over the season and is Chelsea's best player at the moment. Left wing / left forward, I think Foden, Sterling, and Rashford kind of picked themselves. Sterling not been in the greatest of form. Rashford hasn't had very good performances, but has been keeping the numbers up this season. And Foden's been stellar every time he's basically stepped foot on a pitch. And I think those three kind of picked themselves. Sterling, is a bit of a controversial one in that he hasn't performed well this season. A Man City side that's pretty much run away with the league since January for the most part, and been quite comfortable in that. Sterling's been basically nowhere near the team the last several weeks, so it's a bit interesting on that front. But I think Sterling will still go. I think he definitely goes in the 26-man squad. I don't think there's any reason he wouldn't. The only right wing and right forward that I think Southgate's going to go with, because Rashford can play over there, same with Foden, Saka can play out there, Sterling can play out there, is Jadon Sancho. And I think Sancho can also play on the left too. I think he definitely goes as well. And I think Southgate picks two strikers. I think he goes with Kane and Calvert-Lewin. I think those two definitely warrant their places. Obviously, Kane being the captain, Calvert-Lewin being a kind of different option. And if they need to go 4-4-2, I think Calvert-Lewin can be the guy running in behind. Kane can be the one dropping in deep. And then if you look at some of the names that miss out, so for center back, there's not too many, although I think some of these players will be hard done by. So Tomori, been excellent at AC Milan. Konsa, I think, has been better than Mings this season for Aston Villa. Holgate and Godfrey, again, probably been just as good as Michael Keane at Everton. Tarkowski, bit fringe, but I don't think is probably in contention. Ben White at Brighton, is still a little bit on the young side, so maybe not ready yet. And Chris Smalling is, in the twilight of his career, had bit of mishaps in the Europa League versus United specifically, where I noticed it. But I think all things considered, injury prone this season, and not ideal for him. In midfield, Dele Alli obviously misses out, not had much minutes this season. And I think Jude Bellingham would be one to miss out as well with this 26-man squad, which would be hard done by him. He's been excellent in the Champions League. I think him and Foden, are two players that I think need this tournament. Even if they go there and then unsuccessful in winning the Euros, I think with the World Cup being the following year, basically, I think that it would be very important for them to get these sorts of, experiences for this tournament. And then obviously we have a very, very debatable one in Jack Grealish. I think he might miss out. I think Jack Grealish may not have had enough minutes under his belt before the end of the season, was out for quite a while. Maybe that's a bit of a concern. There was a point where Grealish was on the sideline and Southgate was actually at the game and he was talking to Grealish. Maybe it was that, are you going to be back in time? And we'll see, because if I'm looking at players here, I would personally drop Eric Dyer in a heartbeat and I would take Grealish with me. I like more attacking minded players. And Grealish is definitely one of that. I would also even potentially drop Cody as well and take Greenwood, who is another player that could miss out as well. Forwards that would probably be unlucky would be Danny Ings, although he's had a couple of injuries this season. Watkins, I think, has been excellent. Same for Bamford. Both had kind of very similar seasons. Very good, coming up from the Championship. Watkins obviously being a Brentford who didn't make it into the Premier League, although they could make it this coming Premier League season, as they're in the final for the playoff after coming back. And Bamford, coming up with a Championship team, and Leeds winning the Championship last season. I think they've both been excellent this season for what where they were expected to be, you know, in terms of, you know, how they played in the the championship. I almost said Champions League. Imagine Leeds in the Champions League again. That'd be a sight to see. Or Aston Villa even. Antonio, I think, is somebody who could be, you know, very interesting. He's just different. He's someone who can hold the ball up. Very frustrating for defenders to deal with. And although he hasn't had an England call-up, I think he could be quite good. So Southgate's lineup, I think this is what he's going to go with. He's going to go with Pickford, Walker, Maguire, and Stones in a back three, with Reece James and, for some reason I have Stones here twice. It should be Chilwell at left wing back, with Rice and Henderson as the two holding midfielders in there, with Kane, Sterling, and Rashford as his front three. I think Sterling, just based off the fact that, you know, it's experience and he can play with the likes of Harry Kane. Actually, I'm going to change that. He's not going to go with Rashford. He's going to go with Mason Mount. How could I forget? Mason Mount will probably play in behind Kane and Sterling. I actually missed out on that. So yeah, I think I have it on the tactics board here. So yeah, this is how I think Gareth Southgate's basically his team will line up. So Pickford will be in goal, Stones, Maguire, Walker as the auxiliary right centre back, Reece James flying up and down the wing as the right wing back, Rice and Henderson with Chilwell at left wing back, and Mount kind of in behind a front two of Sterling and Kane. I think that's how they basically want to work it. And pretty much what they're going to want to do is Sterling's going to want to get in and around the box. Kane's going to want to get in and around the box. Chilwell is going to hold the width on one side. Reece James on the other side. And Mount's basically just going to be in here. And then you're just going to have, you know, Henderson and Rice and Stones, you know, playing, you know, spread out quite a lot. Walker potentially supporting runs, you know, in this sort of, like, you know, underlapping or even going around the likes of Reece James. If Reece James decides to make way into the box with a, you know, type of dribble. And I think, you know, the likes of Henderson, the likes of Rice are going to be players that are just going to be there to pretty much recycle the ball. With Mason Mount kind of pulling the strings, probably being involved in a lot of switches of play, and also basically kind of controlling this space. Also known as, like, the D, basically, is where he wants to be. He'll probably fluctuate from side to side, and there'll probably be an odd occasion if Mason Mount, let's say, takes up if he takes up this position here. And is trying to look for a cross into the box. Henderson or Rice will probably make a run in. Maybe Kane goes near post. Sterling looks for the far post, and then you got Rice or Henderson, you know, looking for the cutback, and then you basically have these three options for, you know, plays in the box. Also, Mount can also play it down the line as such, and Reece James could then pick up this position here, and then Mount can make his way into the box as well. And then you have four players in the box in an aggressive sense, and then you just have Henderson kind of pick up you know, a spot here, and then you kind of defend in like this, like, kind of, you know, diamond shape here, where basically you outnumber a three-man attack. So if they had, you know, their right winger, their striker, and their left winger in these positions, you still outnumber them when you have Henderson who can shuttle across either side. That's how I think Southgate's going to kind of work it. And apologies for having the wrong thing. I completely forgot about Mount for a second. I knew something didn't look right. But this is how I would go if I was picking the 26-man squad. So I would go with a similar system. In terms of the goalkeepers, Henderson, Pope, and Pickford, although Pickford would not be my starting goalkeeper, and we'll get to that in a bit. We then have Chilwell, Shaw, James, Alexander-Arnold, Saka, and Walker. And basically what I've gone with here is I've gone with two right backs, I've gone with two left backs, I've gone with basically two auxiliary defenders. So Saka can play wing back or left back, and Walker can play wing back or right center back. I've gone with four center backs. Maguire and Stones basically pick themselves, and then I've gone with, you know, kind of one with a little bit more experience and leadership in Michael Keane, and then I've gone with Konza from Aston Villa. I think he's better than the likes of Cody. I think he's had a much better season. I think he's had a much better season than Mings as well. And I think, 4 center backs is enough. I think you have, the likes of Walker. You have Shaw, who can play left-sided center back as well. Reece James can play right-sided center back. So in essence, if you're playing a back three with this system, you have 7 center backs technically. You have Shaw, James, Walker, Maguire, Konsa, Keane, and Stones. If you're playing a back four, well, you only really need 4 center backs in that sense, and you need more, double up on the fullback. So basically, I have 2 center backs with 2 replacements. I have 2 left backs, and I have 2 right backs, and then I can kind of fluctuate and change. Where Saka wants to play, I can, Chilwell can easily play left wing. We've seen Ricardo Pereira play right wing for Leicester this season. He naturally plays a fullback, so you could do many different things. In midfield, the only player that drops out for me personally would be Ward-Prowse, and I would replace him with Jude Bellingham for much how I said before, with the fact that I think Bellingham, a tournament like this would do him a lot of good, and I would actually play him actively in this tournament. He would come in for when you needed to change to a 4-3-3 and have a much more balanced midfield, and we'll see that in one of my formations. Foden, Sterling, Rashford, and Grealish. I think those are all no-brainers there. Just an additional of Grealish added there. And I think the 2 changes I literally made was I said I would get rid of Dyer. I would get rid of another center back. And I've gone with basically Grealish and Greenwood in those positions. Sancho, Kane, and Calvert-Lewin. The only player that I really wanted to get in there was the likes of like Antonio, Watkins, or Bamford, somebody like that. I think Antonio would probably be the one I would go with just because he's different. So I've done some various different formations here. That's Southgate's one. So this is the first one I've gone with. Now for this formation, I think you can go with the likes of Jordan Pickford in it for this one. I believe on the other formation I would go for. I'm just going to change that really quickly. I would go for Pope, and I'll explain why in a second. So with this formation, this would be I prefer a 4-3-3 if I was going to be managing. Hypothetically, this is typically what I like to play in FIFA, and I think it's like a more of a balanced formation. So you have Luke Shaw at left back, who is a lot more defensively solid than the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold. But I think Jude Bellingham is good enough defensively to whereas if you wanted to switch to a 4-2-3-1 in this situation, Bellingham does cover a lot of ground, as does Sancho. They both work hard, and Mason Mount is can basically just fluctuate in the number 10 role in some cases, depending on if you're on offense or on defense, or with the ball, without the ball. Probably be the more correct term. Maguire and Stones, no surprises there. Rice is the kind of single holding midfielder. Bellingham being like the box-to-box, Mount being the more number 10. And then Sancho and Foden, I think, have been the 2 best, England forwards that isn't a striker like Kane. And I think they definitely deserve their place. And Kane, obviously, up front. And the reason I would say like Pickford is because you have such, Pickford's distribution is on a good day, one of the best in terms of what England has to offer, and I think he's very good at picking out basic players who are in any form of space. And I think if we just want to highlight a few players here, if you just look at players that are very comfortable on the ball when they have it, John Stones is one, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Bellingham, Rice, Mount, Sancho, Foden. Kane is a focal point. Even Shaw, given enough space. Maguire is very good at putting the ball out from the back. But more specifically, the players you're trying to hit it into. Kane, you can have Sancho in behind in this channel here. You have Foden, who can be hit into this channel here. If you wanted to, play a 25, 30 yard pass into Bellingham's feet or into Mount's feet, they can spin into space, and then you're in on the counterattack, maybe 4v4 or like 5v4 with an advantage there. And I think Pickford definitely suits that system a lot better. Now, if I was going to stick with Southgate's formation, which I think is going to be a 3-4-3, I would pick Pope for this one, and that's mainly due to the fact that this system, I can go a bit more aggressive with it, and I think you can, when you're defending, There's various different ways you can kind of work it. And I think with your goalkeeper, you don't really want him to pick out anything. You can play out from the back quite comfortably. Pope only needs to really make a short pass because you have Stones, you have Maguire, you have James, you have Trent, Alexander-Arnold, you have Saka, you have Rice and Mount. You have a lot of players compressed into a small space, which you can, easily play from out the back. Now on offense, you can or when you're with the ball, you obviously have Kane as the focal point. You have Foden basically playing as a left inside forward. Sancho as a right inside forward. You can have Trent maybe a bit deeper. You have Reece James who can be making runs down the flank. You have Rice there just to kind of recycle. You have Mason Mount, who's just going to be in this position, and he's basically just going to be, covering this sort of space here and looking to basically feed in the likes of Foden, the likes of Kane, the likes of Sancho as well. You have Saka, who's also going to be out on this flank as well. Stones and Maguire will split, and then you can have this kind of defensive triangle as well. And Stones and Maguire are very good at actually playing players in behind as well. And sometimes we can even have a situation where Stones steps into midfield and then Maguire even holds the base, and then maybe Mount kind of makes more of a flat three, or even like a similar. We can have the kind of diamond in this shape as well. So what we can also do as well is we can have basically Mount. If you were to make an easy substitution, you could take off either Foden or Sancho or Mount, and basically you can go into more of a 4-2-2-2. But you can use your wing backs kind of as the like the defensive two, as it were, and then Reece James can kind of fill in as like a right back, and Stones can kind of pop into midfield here. So you can have Trent and Stones with Saka left back, James right back, and Trent can kind of be like a roaming style of midfielder. If you wanted to put Sancho up front as well, Mount can kind of flex out on the right, or even drop back if you need a little bit more guile in midfield, and then Trent can basically play as an auxiliary right winger. There's many different ways you can flex this formation, and it's even more flexible when you're without the ball. You may be doing a little more of a counter-attacking style. If you wanted to defend with a back four, you can just have Reece James, you can have Maguire, you can have Stones, and you can have Saka. Rice steps into midfield alongside Mason Mount. Foden basically goes out on the left. Sancho can play the 10. Trent can easily play out on the right, leaving him of any defensive duties. And then you have Kane up front. And that's something you can literally just change in an instant. And then let's say you get the ball and you're on the break. All of a sudden, Sancho can then make a run. Let's say this is just a play in transition. Sancho makes the run out to the right. Foden's now out on the left. Saka's now bombing in behind Foden as well. Alexander-Arnold's now bombing in behind. Mount's making runs. Rice as well can now step into it, and then you start to see the shape kind of resume as the 3-4-3 once again. Even if you wanted to put Trent in the back three, you can definitely do that. Reece James can then swap positions. So Reece James tends to like picking up more of this position in here when he goes to cross the ball, or make whether it be dribble past a player or make an attempted delivery. Whereas Trent typically likes to put it in more like I like to call it like the De Bruyne area, where it's like in this kind of half space here, where he can then swing a lot deeper of a ball into the forwards. And I think that with this constant changing of the two players, they both have the capability of doing both things. And when you have them in a similar position and one can overlap, one can underlap, you can cause a whole bunch of different problems for for the opposition. And I think that with the 3-4-3, I like this one a lot more because although it seems a lot more attacking on paper with the likes of Saka, two right backs basically, because England have too many that are just so good and so capable of feeding the front men, it allows Mason Mount to get into the team and still be, disciplined as well because he is a very capable presser of the ball and good at defensive work. And then it allows for Foden and Sancho and still has places for the likes of Grealish to come on as, straight swaps. It still allows for Kane to potentially be in a front two with Calvert-Lewin, and I think it could be quite a good formation for Southgate and the Euros in 2020. And that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Drop us a follow over on Twitter so you can keep up to date with all the different videos and news related to FPL and other things going on the channel, as well as give us a follow over on Twitch so that you can see when we go live for our deadline streams, our preview streams for FPL as well as any other content that's going on over the summer. We're going to be doing watch-alongs, potentially some FIFA career modes, all that sort of stuff to kind of bypass the time while we're waiting for FPL to come back. And when FPL does come back, we will be live on Twitch that day, hopefully. So if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a comment down below as well if you enjoyed it, as well as what your England 26-man squad would be and how you would line up going into the Euros. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.